Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. Wow, look at all of these familiar faces. I am so excited to see this room packed because we have such a special announcement, and really, it's really amazing to see all of the community coming together to support this. People from various backgrounds here in this room, the business community, the childcare community, our partners, our funders, all of you all here in this room. Let's start with a big round of applause for all of you, please, for being here. I also want to recognize some special folks that are here with us. Janice Smith and Valdinia Wynn of Kansas City's Children's Cabinet and Trust. Can we please give them a big round of applause? Yes. And we have our very own sheriff, Wyandotte County Sheriff Don Ash, who serves also on the board of the Family Conservancy. And to all of our partners, again, this is a wonderful moment, and you all working together as a team. This is what it takes to put projects like this together, everybody believing in it. So a big round of applause for all of the partners that are going to make this a very successful project here in Wyandotte County. Please, big round of applause. So my name is Sandra Olivas, and I used to work at Channel 5. Anybody remember that? Yay. And now I work at Bank of Labor, and we're right down the street. We've been here in this community for about 100 years, and we believe in the Family Conservancy. Our bank talks so much about this organization and what we can do to be a partner and to help the Family Conservancy continue their great mission that they do here in our community. So I am honored to serve on the board of directors of the Family Conservancy with our dedicated board. And I know there are some board members here. Can we have our board please stand? Yes. I have the honor of announcing the launch of the Family Conservancy Start Young project. Are you guys excited? Yeah. I mean, this is amazing. This is a public and private collaborative designed to improve childcare right here in Wyandotte County. It's going to do so many things. We're talking about high quality, full day, full year childcare here for our working families. Now, this innovative 3-year pilot program, it's going to impact 1,200 children. Can you imagine? 1,200 little boys, little girls, and their families. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. And it's going to affect them in so many wonderful ways. We're talking about workforce participation, educational achievement, and community health outcomes. And that's just a few of the things that, they're going to benefit from having this quality childcare. On a personal note, I grew up right here in Wyandotte County. I went to Emerson Elementary, Argentine Middle School, yes, and Harmon Hawks. Any Harmon Hawks here? All right. And on a personal, I can tell you how hard it was for my family. Both my parents worked in factories. My dad worked in the Fairfax district. He was at Sunshine Biscuits, where they make Cheez-Its. So if you love Cheez-Its, my dad knows how to make Cheez-Its. And my mom worked at a plant in Kansas City, Missouri. And they would have to alternate the shifts. Mom worked first shift. Is this my phone? My kid's calling, Mom, where are you? But my mom worked the first shift, and dad had to work either second or third shift. And today I think about how hard that must have been for them as parents, to juggle, one parent with 4 kids at a time. And I take for granted that my husband and I, we can come home every night and sit down and have dinner with our kids and help them with their homework. And there are so many families out there that don't have that we take that for granted. Imagine single parents, and so I am so in love with this project, and I'm so excited that we are going to be able to help so many families have dignity when they go to work and provide that unity that they need after work. The families can come home together, enjoy mealtime, enjoy doing homework. And as I said, I was a former reporter. We love microphones and we can talk forever. But it is my honor to introduce to you the CEO of the Family Conservancy, Dean Olson, who's going to share a little bit more about this project. So let's give him a big round of applause.
Thank you so much. I'd like to see you back on TV. So at the Family Conservancy, we are guided by our mission, helping children and families achieve a lifetime of success. And that is why we're so very excited to embark on this transformative project here in Wyandotte County. Currently, the county only has 40% capacity for the child care needed by working families. So many of the programs, when we looked into it in depth, many of the programs are not full day, full year programs. And so they're not very helpful for working families. So further complicating the issue, even when parents can find quality child care that actually meets their needs, most of them can't afford it. So Start Young will address these immediate concerns, and it will do so much more. We have researchers in the audience, and so studies have shown that the first 5 years of life are critical to a child's healthy development. Quality interactions, developmentally appropriate activities, positive emotional connections to parents and to caregivers, and healthy nutritional habits all help a child arrive at kindergarten physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared. So setting the stage for success in school and in life. Conversely, exposure to violence, abuse, or neglect at a young age can lead a child into having difficulty controlling emotions, trouble focusing in school, and other behavior issues that can lead to higher dropout rates, substance abuse, and even crime. So because the majority of children will spend a considerable amount of time outside the home in care, the children and families of Wyandotte County deserve the opportunity to have quality early learning experiences that will provide the foundation ultimately for a happy, healthy, educated community. So over the course of 3 years, Start Young will increase the capacity of full-day, full-year childcare by helping existing Wyandotte County programs and supporting the creation of new programs as needed. At the same time, this project will provide professional development to teachers, including coaching, ensuring the quality of care will increase as well. So the importance of high-quality, accessible childcare cannot be overstated for the success of Wyandotte County. Did you hear that? The importance of high-quality, accessible childcare cannot be overstated. That's why I'm stating it over. For the success of Wyandotte County. I'm glad you got the cue. So kindergarten readiness, participation in the workforce, and even community health outcomes can all be enhanced by the availability of high-quality childcare. So Start Young recognizes these far-reaching benefits of high-quality childcare, which is why we have both Kathy Harding, the president and CEO of Wyandotte Health Foundation, and Greg Kendall, the president of the Wyandotte Economic Development Council. They're both here to say a few words, and Kathy is first. And Kathy thanked me so much for inviting her to speak. I just want you to know.
Actually, what I said, I think, was that you keep making me do things. And we also talked about the fact that public speaking, of course, is one of the things that most people fear the most. I am no exception to that rule. So I thanked him very much for giving me the opportunity to be nervous. Actually, he asked me to talk a little bit about the community health assessment work that Wyandotte County has been undergoing for close to 2 years now. Are any of you familiar with this? So for those who aren't, very thorough process. So community health assessment, we did over 2,300 resident surveys, had multiple focus groups, crunched all the secondary data, did all of it. Very, very thorough, year-long process. And at the end of it all, the KU folks that were doing all this, they, weighted different things certain ways as only professors can do, and researchers perhaps. And at the end of the day, there were 4 things that surfaced as the main issues that our community and the data support say are the biggest problems for our health outcomes, for not having better health outcomes. Number 1 on the list, does anybody know? Jobs and education. Who would have thought that jobs and education would be the number 1 issue that our community says is impacting our health outcomes? But it was. Interestingly enough, the next step of the process to develop a community health improvement plan was to identify barriers, different and actionable things that need to happen for the 4 main areas of work to improve health outcomes. In the Jobs and Education group, which, by the way, Greg Kendall, the Wyandotte Economic Development Council, is leading this work, 2 significant barriers surfaced for not being able to get good jobs and education. Childcare, early education, so you have an opportunity for an education later in life. As part of jobs and education, some people wouldn't have seen that coming, but it did. So this project is perfect and Greg said the other day, I would never have met Dean if it weren't for this work. And now they're doing a lot together. So it's a neat partnership that's wouldn't have happened without you stepping forward and you stepping forward. I'm supposed to stay at 2 minutes. I've already gone over that. But the other thing that I thought might be worth sharing is our foundation, for those of you who don't know, we've been around for 20 years. For most of that time, we funded primarily safety net clinics. Core operating unrestricted grants for the clinics in our community that took care of people who had no resources, or very few. Very critical need for that service, and the clinics do an outstanding job in Wyandotte County. But our board of directors about 3 years ago said, why have we been investing the same way all these years and we still have the worst health outcomes in the state? Are we investing in the right things? And they went through a strategic planning process that was also very thorough and very comprehensive. And we looked at what were the biggest health problems in Wyandotte County. You know what they are: tobacco use, associated diseases with that, cancer, some heart disease. Diabetes is huge, infant mortality, teen pregnancy. There's a whole litany of things. We know that we have some health challenges in our community. So I crunched down deeper and said, of all these key problems, what really are the factors that are contributing to those the most? And they varied. One was tobacco use. One was being too sedentary, poor diet. There was one thing that across the board, all of them, there's a strong correlation between that particular health issue and that was childhood trauma, toxic stress as young children. Some people call them adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. So our board had a very lengthy conversation about that, and one of our board members, Trudy Hall, if you know her, she's actually our board chair now. I use her quote all the time, and one of these days I'm going to have to just say this is a Trudy Hall quote. But she said it this way. She said, when they were making this decision to fund into early childhood development, she said, we have been at the bottom of the waterfall, catching people who fell over, patching and bandaging. Yeah. Where should we be? Shouldn't we be at the top of the waterfall, keeping people from falling over? So the board decided to change our funding, our investment in the community, less to the safety net clinics and a lot into early childhood development. And it's been a journey, and our board has not looked back since we started that journey. And it's we realize that it's the next generation that we will see this in, but it's worth waiting for. So with that, I do have to make the connection as well that early childhood development and early childhood education is not just about health outcomes, although that is a significant part of it. It also is about economic development, and Greg Kendall is here to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you all very much for having me here this afternoon to be a part of this rollout. A few of you may be wondering, why is the Economic Development Council a part of this discussion? 5 years ago, we started on a path to help understand the human supply chain in Wyandotte County. My original hypothesis, which turned out to be wrong, was that our real challenge in this community was about unemployment. Unemployment was a challenge, it still is a challenge, but it's a symptom of many other factors in the community. That translated 3 years ago then into creating a workforce solutions committee to begin looking at how do we actually solve for some of the issues and what are those key issues to support, particularly at that time, the Healthy Communities Wyandotte program that Kathy sits on around improving county health outcomes. And then that was followed 2 years ago with our board adding a metric to our program to increase the median household income in Wyandotte County to the state level. We don't add metrics. That's the first metric we've probably added in probably 20 years. But this idea that if we can increase the median household income to the state level initially is a big transition for this community. And then more recently, as Kathy noted, we've engaged in the Community Health Improvement Plan, the CHIP, around jobs and education. And among those key issues was this idea that we need more child care with the Family Conservancy being the lead partner. And we are so thankful for the Family Conservancy taking on this issue as a part of this bigger discussion and really being the champion for it. We would not have been able to move this down the path at all by ourselves without a key partnership. The goal is frankly simpler than the solutions. We need more of our families to have access to high-quality child care that they can afford so they have peace of mind that their child is being taken care of and being educated while they're at work. And while we've seen 2 years, not a long-term trend, but 2 years of continued increased median household income, one of the key barriers to entering and retaining job in Wyandotte County is child care. The business community needs a reliable workforce, and part of that challenge is making sure that their employees have access to and can afford quality child care. So if you're making $24,000 a year, a little less than $12 an hour, and child care, infant care costs $1,000 a month, it doesn't pencil out. More conversation is going to be needed with the private sector about how they can be part of the overall solution. Long term, we need our future workforce to be ready for kindergarten. We have to break the cycle before they get to the third grade, or our kids won't be ready for tomorrow's workplace. We know that the communities that are going to succeed in economic development today, but in particular into the future, are those communities that have the talent. We have talent in this community. We have a large number of working families, but we're going to have to invest in them. And one of those key investments is in childcare. Again, I just want to thank you all for the work that you're doing here, for this program, for how quickly you've been able to pull it together, and for allowing us, frankly, to be a part of that conversation. Had it not been for all of these other conversations and the last 5 years of trying to understand what our role is in all of this, because it is unique for an economic development organization to be involved in this kind of effort. But talent is economic development today, and that whole continuum doesn't just start in high school, doesn't just start in the community college. It starts back here before kindergarten. And what you all are doing, all of you as providers, is phenomenal work. And we want to be there to help support that and find a solution with the private sector as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Greg and Kathy and Dean. Thank you so much for those words. At this time, it is my honor to introduce a very special person in our community that's been providing childcare for 25 years. 25 years. Can you imagine how many lives that she's impacted over those years? I am honored to introduce Mrs. Wanda Bibbs. Her husband was my basketball coach at J.C. Harmon High School, so I know her family very well and love them dearly. She's the director of Angels of Grace Family Services and is one of our 16 valued child care partners who will participate in the Family Conservancy Start Young project. So let's give her a big welcome. I know she's nervous.
First, I'd like to say that this is a setup because nobody told me that my principal from high school would be in attendance. So now I really have to do something. Good evening. My name is Wanda Bibbs. I am the Executive Director of Angels of Grace Family Service Center. We are honored to be one of the 16 partners in the Start Young project. Our center is also an early Head Start site in partnership with the Family Conservancy. Dean, I'll let you know about my office that I'd like to have here shortly. On behalf of the children who will benefit from this amazing program and the 15 other partner agencies, I'd like to thank the Family Conservancy, and the United Way of Wyandotte County, and many other foundations and agencies that helped pull this money into our county. There was such a short period of time that we were given by the guarantee to respond to the RFP, to make a commitment, to reply, and to raise a large amount of cash match. I felt that it was like our own miracle on 4th in Minnesota, because they did it. Without the other big agencies, we, meaning the 16 partners, we could have never have gotten together as 16 and raised that money like you guys did, because we're too small. Okay, we've lost our way. We've got to find it. That's what happens when we age. And looking at Sandra, you know that we are aging. Basketball, when she could barely bounce a ball. I remember that. So again, from the children of Wyandotte County that we love, educate, and become deeply rooted in their families and their lives, we'd like to say thank you. No one understands better than us, the agencies, that our commitment to these children and our county goes much further than just education. It becomes food. It becomes helping to pay light bills, educating young parents who don't know what they're doing. It becomes really being deeply rooted in these children in order to change the outcomes of our children's environment. And yes, you hear me say ours. Most of our kids are in care anywhere from 9 to 10 hours a day. So we become a part of their family. You know, my husband becomes pawpaw and I become grandma because we have them so long. So before I get to preaching and she comes and takes the microphone from me, I'd like to say this was my short version. I wrote it about 10 times, trying to make sure that I got all our key points in. I'd like to say thank you for our miracle. To me, this is a dream coming true, that we are actually getting money to bring into Wyandotte County. Because for some reason, they never get all the way down to the W. You know, they stop somewhere up here. The money goes there, the money goes here, but it never comes home. So again, I'd like to say for everybody who helped make that short-term commitment and all the promises of the money that made this happen for our children, thank you.
I think with that passion and that speech and her 25 years of service, can we stand and give Miss Wanda Bibbs a big round of applause? Thank you, Wanda, and thank you to the Kansas Children's Cabinet and Trust Fund for making this project possible. We really have so many partners that we want to thank, as well as the Buffett Early Childhood Fund, the Wyandotte Health Foundation, the Stanley H. Durnwood Foundation, the Olathe Westland Church, the Hall Family Foundation, and there are other pending and secured funders that are still coming forward. So we are very grateful for all of that support. So let's give them a big round of applause. We also want to thank our community partners, the Mid-America Regional Council, United Way of Wyandotte County, Juniper Gardens Children's Project, and Child Care Aware of Kansas. We want to thank you for working in collaboration with the Family Conservancy to bring Start Young to life in Wyandotte County.